So, I'm not going to do a regular fun intro for this because I'm not in the mood for fun intros. And if anyone who's my friend that's watching this will know that I am the biggest complainer ever. So I'm going to complain about something that I feel like might get some of you hot and bothered, but I literally couldn't give less of a shit. So I'm going to rant about it anyways. So, I got kicked out of class because my negative COVID test result wasn't ready yet. So, I was like, okay. So I waited in the line, an hour and a half in a line to potentially get rapid tested. And after I finally got to the front of the line, they told me that rapid testing is not available for current students, only new students. So I'm like, okay, when is the COVID test that I took the day prior gonna come in? They said sometimes it takes a few days to come in, you know, maybe 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, so will I be able to come onto campus without it? And they're like, no, you won't be able to. I don't know how you got in, but you won't be able to. And I'm like, okay, so I'm missing class today already, and I have to miss a few more. So I'm missing this whole week of class because this COVID result test is taking a long time. And they're like, yeah, I'm so sorry. We just have a high volume of COVID tests, so that's just a delay. So I'm just like, okay. So like, okay, I'm missing like this whole week of school. Fine, whatever. You know, whatever. But then here's something that is even more stupid. That we have to do this regardless of vaccination status. And that regardless of vaccination status, we have to not only wear 1 mask, but now sacrifice our breathing and wear 2 masks. So wear 2 masks, wait an hour and a half in line to get COVID tested, wait a few days to get your results, just to barely be able to go to class, regardless of vaccination status. Like, I could be fully vaccinated and I still have to do all this. Now, thankfully, my place of work does not require any of that. They don't require vaccination. They don't require negative COVID test results. And because, you know, I love where I work so much, I'm not going to expose where that is because I don't want their rules to suddenly change because I'm talking about it. So where I work is going to stay confidential. But my point is, let's say I did work somewhere that required it. So not only am I missing days of school because of this nonsense, but I'm also missing days of work, hours of work that is gonna be used so I can put bread on the table, have this wonderful roof over my head. Just because there's a high volume of COVID tests, I have to starve, potentially, and stay home, not be able to work because of all of this, regardless of vaccination status. And then the worst part is that now, apparently, they're trying to make these COVID tests and at-home COVID tests cost money. So not only, regardless of vaccination status, would I have to pay for this COVID test, I still have to wait days to get the result, which means I'm still missing days of school and work, and I'm paying for all this just to not be able to go to work and not get paid and put a roof over my head. So tell me how I'm supposed to pay for this COVID test if because of this COVID test, I'm not able to go to work. And then another thing that makes even less sense is if you look at the history of pandemics, like for example, the Spanish influenza or the Black Plague, you will see that over the different strands of that virus, every single strand has gotten weaker and weaker and weaker over the time. Let's bring my main example, the Black Plague. The Black Plague, the first strand, was the most deadliest. And it was killing off far too fast. So the virus realized, yo, this is too fast. We're not going to have any hosts left to be a part of if we kill them all. So they adapted to become weaker. And every single strand got weaker and weaker and weaker, which is why we no longer deal with it as much anymore. And even the cases that are around here, like that are still around today, don't affect us as much as it should because the strand just got weaker over that time period. The same thing with the Spanish influenza, which is why we don't deal with it as badly as people in the 1920s did, because that virus over the time the strands got weaker and weaker. So now that I mentioned all that, tell me why, now that there's been like the first COVID, and then there's been like this COVID, there's a COVID-19, and then in 2020 there was like this new COVID-20 or something, like this SARS-20 whatever. I remember like in 2020 it was this big thing. And then there was the Delta, and now there's the Omicron. So there's now like 4 different varieties of COVID. But the most recent Omicron, shouldn't that technically throughout the history of viruses and how it's evolved, shouldn't Omicron be the weakest? And if it is the weakest, why has paranoia suddenly striked to the point where, regardless of vaccination status, I have to do all this bullshit? There's all this added paranoia. Like, make that make sense. Because I am not understanding any of it. And I'm quite honestly frustrated because how is this supposed to motivate unvaccinated people to go and vaccinate if it doesn't change their quality of life? Before you say it's like, oh, to protect other people, yada, 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 what? Don't give me that bullshit. We all know if the vaccine worked the way it should, there wouldn't be all this paranoia with all this COVID tests necessary, wearing the double masks, and all this bullshit regardless of vaccination status. If this vaccine truly helped save other people. This virus, this pandemic, should be over with if these vaccines actually did what they're supposed to. We've been in this bullshit for 2 years now. Not only is it not getting any better, it's getting far worse. So, with all that said, like I said, how is that supposed to motivate unvaccinated people to get vaccinated if regardless of if they get vaccinated or not, there's still the potential of them getting sick, there's still the potential of getting other people sick and being asymptomatic, and then there's also the fact that they have to do all these things like the COVID test, they have to pay for this COVID test, they have to wait days for this COVID test, they have to miss work for this COVID test, they have to miss class for this COVID test. How is this supposed to motivate people to get vaccinated? How? Because from what I'm seeing is regardless of if you're vaccinated or not, we're all still in this shithole. We're all still going through hell. So what's the fucking point? Anyways, to end off this video, basically, my conclusion is this shit don't make a damn lick of sense. I'm confused. I'm frustrated and very agitated and just generally confused. And honestly, I couldn't give less of a shit if any of you liberals get triggered at what I said. If you want to call me selfish for thinking what I think, go ahead, do it in the comments. I literally don't give a shit. I am too emotionally and mentally exhausted from this bullshit to give a flying fuck about what you liberals have to think about what I say. I literally could not give this less of a damn. You can go ahead and cancel me. I don't give a flying fuck. Do it. I don't care. In fact, yeah, you know what? Go ahead. Cancel me. Make this video trending, yeah? Make this video trending while you cancel me so all the points that I made can be spread to everyone. So go ahead, liberals. I dare you. Attack this video. Any of you dirty politicians that find your way to this video, that's the only message I've got for you. Especially you, Gavin Newsom. You can stick this right up your